Hello, everyone. My name is Lisette Ortega. I am a senior here in SUNY Oswego, and I'm pursuing a human resources degree.
Hello, I'm Javonna Perez. I am a junior, and I am majoring in criminal justice and communications with a minor in human development.
I'm Peruvian, so Hispanic.
Also Hispanic, but my mother is Peruvian as well, and my father is Dominican. But within those two cultures, there's a lot of like different descents. So yeah, just to keep it short and simple, it's Peruvian and Dominican.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
A lot of Peruvians every day.
Yeah, I don't come along a lot of Peruvians, especially not in Oswego.
Yeah, I've never met anyone. Have you ever, like, any of you been to those countries before?
I was born and raised there.
Wow.
I migrated here with my family 4 years ago.
I thankfully was able to go to both countries and get to know more about my culture.
What's your story and what has happened in your life that made you feel inclined to share it? Like, coming to Oswego, have you had any family struggles going along with your background?
Yeah, like I said, I was born and raised in Peru, and I migrated with my family about 6 years ago. It's going to be, and personally, like from my experience being here, like in this country, it has been very challenging. I had to like attend the last 2 years of high school here just to like complete all my credits and be able to apply to college. And I think I had the most difficult time during those 2 years when I was in high school because I had a lot of insecurities in regards of like, I had to learn a whole different language that I had never like, had to the opportunity to like learn before. Definitely like it was a whole different culture here, different setting and environment, and I had to quickly kind of like adapt to that. Also, I think like I was a non-traditional student because I was a lot like 2 years older than the students who were in high school, because in Peru we have only 11 years of high school, whereas here you have 12. So I was like 1 or 2 years older. And I had already like a different, I want to say like a bit more mature kind of thinking. I also have a little sister. So when she was born, I was kind of like also partaking in a role of taking care of her. And so when we came here, I was kind of like the one who took on a more parenting role with her because I had to help her with her homework. I had to help her also like learn the language as I was learning it too, as my parents were learning it. And I kind of became a more of a mother figure to her because my parents were not as present because of course they had to, work. Like both of them have 2 jobs. So they're just, working every day. And I kind of had to step up on that role with her?
For myself, since I am two cultures, Peru is in South America, DR is in the Caribbean. So what a lot of people don't know is that in Latin countries, there's still different cultures. So Caribbean countries have different customs than those in South America. And so that myself is like, I was born here. So I'm American, but I'm Peruvian and Dominican. So it's like I'm navigating 3 different cultures and navigating what I feel comfortable with. And so I'm still navigating that because that's a whole process. But it's definitely been part of my story, especially since I'm also a first generation student. My parents are divorced. I'm from the city. So there's a lot of things that play in part with that.
Very interesting life stories compared to mine. Like, you guys have gone through so much, and definitely the identity thing I've heard a lot about from past people, just navigating that. It's a lot of work, like way more than an average teenager has to go through. So why did you pick Oswego, upstate New York, the snow, fun stuff?
I always say that I didn't pick Oswego. It was kind of like Oswego picked me.
Oh.
To be honest, I didn't apply to Oswego until like later in the summer because I wanted to go to an out of state college. But at the end of the day, it ended up not working out. And then I was at that like freak out moment where like you're like trying to figure out, okay, this is like I'm kind of late now, so I have to figure a plan. And I was just looking through because I wanted to go into a business program, and I found out that Oswego has a really good business program, and with accreditations and all that stuff. So I ended up applying to it. I got into the school, and yeah, I'm here. And I just want to say that I think that it worked out perfectly because I'm closer to home. Well, not that close, like 7 hours away, but still
Wow.
closer than what I would be if I had gone to an out of state university.
I initially when I was a junior in high school, I was set on John Jay because I've always wanted to be a criminal justice major. I'm the youngest of four, so, and they're all boys. So my brother graduated from John Jay, so I was set in stone just to follow his footsteps because he's the older one of all of us. But then he let me know that, hey, you should experience college like all the way, try to dorm. And so that wasn't really a possibility for me since I'm the youngest, I'm the only girl. I'm really like my parents are overprotective, my brothers are well as well. So once he told me that, I was like, say less. I'm gonna look into SUNY schools. I'm gonna look into out of state, but out of state tuition is ridiculous. And I live with my mom. She's a single parent, so that was out of the question. So once I started looking into SUNY schools, I just looked at some that was the farthest away from home, just because I've never been out of Queens. I've lived in the same house my whole life, so I wanted to experience something new. And then I looked into Canton. I visited Canton and Oswego in the same weekend. And when I came to Oswego, I just like fell in love. And Oswego gave me the best scholarship. So it was just a sign.
You both kind of touched on it, but what would you say to prospective students or students that are already here that are of a minority and really don't know where to go, but are interested in a SUNY school like Oswego? What would you say to them? Any advice?
I think that just being a BIPOC student in a predominantly white institution is already hard in itself. But I definitely think that there is opportunity for all of us who are in the minority group to find our place and find our support system here, especially like joining all the organizations that we have on campus, like LSU, BSU, ASO, NAVA. Like the list goes on and on. And I think that what I would advise students is that go to the programs, join their committees, like go to their events. That's how I found my friends that have been with me since freshman year. Not just like my BIPOC friends, but also those people who are not BIPOC but are really interested in learning about our culture and our traditions. You are going to find people like that. And I also would say that it is important for if you consider yourself a BIPOC student to join other organizations that are not just focus on cultural heritage, because I think the representation is important. And just being in an organization that maybe the School of Business, for example, sometimes there's not a lot of BIPOC students who feel represented, but if you go to the clubs that are like business focused, you're going to be that representation, and it's important to do that.
Yeah, adding on, I feel like it's really important to be exposed to that type of culture, because for myself, I'm from the city, so it's culturally diverse. Like there's people of all different ethnicities, all different backgrounds. So being able to come here, I've been able to learn not only about what other people have as ideals, but I've been able to learn about myself a lot. So I think it's really important that we expose ourselves to those type of to the community that we are in today, because it's important to go out of your comfort zone, right? I also agree with us that it's really important to join organizations, take the chances. Oswego has a lot of opportunities for us. We just have to look for them, and they're literally sometimes in a click of links. And like your professors know, all that good stuff. So just taking those opportunities and getting out of your comfort zone, because for myself, if I wouldn't have stepped out of my comfort zone, I wouldn't be where I am today. If I didn't have those conversations, I wouldn't be here. And I just think it's really important to highlight that, because college is where you get networking, you get to know a lot of people that in like 5 years you're just gonna, I mean, I'm not there yet, but my brothers told me, but like it's just something that I definitely feel like we have the resources we need to take advantage of.
Liz, if you kind of touched upon it, being the representation in those clubs and in the departments of education. So how do you think, but for both of you, how do you think your heritage has affected you, not only in education, but just life in general? Is it good or bad? I'm sure there's obviously good and bad aspects of it, but maybe you can touch upon that a little bit more.
I think that for me personally, like, being born and raised up until the age of 17 in my home country, like my life has been impacted like in a very positive way, I want to say, because I was like fortunate enough to live in a household where both my parents are from Peru, but they come from different regions. So and they were always very focused on infusing their own cultures in our house. So like from food, music, their own history. Like I was every day was I would learn something new about them, and we did have the benefit of traveling around different parts of Peru, so I was able to experience firsthand, because Peru is it's so diverse. Like in one area you're gonna find some type of tradition, and in a different area it's completely different. So I was able to really like experience that firsthand, and I think that really helped me figure out my identity and who I define who I am. So coming to this country, I think like having that strong background of knowing, hey, this is where I come from, this is my roots, and I respect that, and I appreciate that, and I value that. It's definitely made me really proud to, like, every time someone, I meet someone new, they ask me, oh, where are you from? I still feel like and the first thing that I say, oh, I'm from Peru. And then I think, oh, like, where are you from here? And then I have to, re-answer and say, oh, I'm from Peru, but I live here. And yeah. And then I kind of give them a short history of like when I moved and all that stuff. So, that kind of stays with me. And being here for just like 6 years, I'm kind of fairly new to all of this. But I definitely think that coming here has also exposed me to the fact that 6 years ago, I didn't know the term Hispanic was a thing, because in Peru, like, you don't talk about those things, right? Or like people are not constantly trying to label you in a way, right? So when I came here, I learned, oh, there's Latino, there's Hispanic, there's, all these things. So I remember like during my first year, I would just say, oh, I'm Peruvian, because I didn't know, like, do I fit into Hispanic description? Do I fit into Latino description? Like, why is there a difference, right? But I think like definitely like my heritage has impacted me in a very positive way overall.
Yeah, likewise, I feel like it's like my identity that I like. I'm so proud to be Hispanic. Like, I don't care. Just because I feel like there's so many, especially in high school more so, I started seeing once you're like having more conversations with adults, and then in college as well, you just see how much restrictions that are put upon you because you're Latina, because you're Hispanic, because you identify as that. There's stereotypes that you're just like, no, I don't fit those, right? I am, like I said, half Dominican, half Peruvian, but a lot of people think off the bat I'm Dominican. So for me, it's like, hold up, I'm not just Dominican, because I grew up, my mom is Peruvian. So I live with my mom. I identify more with my Peruvian side because that's where I grew up. That's my culture. I can't say the same for my Dominican side. So for me, it's just being able to like just highlight, because I feel like when people think of Hispanics, they think Mexican, Dominican, Puerto Rican, and that's it, right? We have like a whole bunch of countries. So for me, it's been very important for me to highlight not only my Peruvian side, but South American, Central American countries, because that's part of the Hispanic identity, right? And I definitely feel like it has affected my life positively, because coming from parents that are immigrants, you see firsthand how they're treated, how they're talked down. And for myself, I had to be the representative for my mom, right? I'm always the one that calls. I'm always the one that's there with her. So being able to see how you can affect somebody, especially, I mean, that's my mother, so obviously, but that happens to a lot of people, right? That happens to people who do not have representatives. And being able to be aware of that, being able to let other people know, like, hey, this happens on a daily basis. This is not something that happens out of the blue, right? So being able to educate my peers, especially in college, I feel like here we've been exposed to different people's that have different ideals, different opinions, but having those conversations are important. Having those conversations, because I've had that experience. That doesn't mean that you've had that experience, right? But being able to share that experience, I feel like is important, because then they're like, wait, hold up. It's not what the TV says. It's not what the movies say. This is what actually happens. So I definitely feel like, and I'm very proud of my heritage. I would talk about it all day if I had to. But yeah, I think it's definitely affected me positively, because it's helped me become the person I am, helped me become aware. And yeah, and I will continue to. Like, we have to embrace our culture. We have to be, proud of our culture. There's ugly, there's beautiful to it too, though, so that our kids know of our culture, right? Because I feel like that sometimes tends to happen. Like, we just forget and we just go accustomed to other traditions when we shouldn't lose our traditions.
Thank you for opening up and sharing your stories. It's definitely a really interesting month, Hispanic Latino Heritage Month for Oswego, definitely with everything going on in our country right now. So I really appreciate you guys opening up and sharing your stories, and I think it's going to be really good for a lot of our students to hear. So thank you.